Sorry. At least it's not a hot day yet. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us this morning. We're outside the Capitol Mall container, and this might look like just an ordinary shipping container, but it does something extraordinary. It saves lives. Last year, thousands of people passed through here seeking relief from the heat, and beginning next week, its doors will open again. This year, Arizonans across the state will face extreme temperatures that can be dangerous. And we are here today to let Arizonans know that we take extreme heat seriously and are committed to keeping them safe. Over the last year, we have strengthened coordination, we've added resources, and we've increased awareness. And we've done this by taking proactive steps. We implemented our extreme heat preparedness plan, a plan that I can now say is award-winning and received national recognition. We hired the first ever chief heat officer, the first ever statewide chief heat officer in the country, and expanded the availability of cooling centers. We added 85 statewide cooling centers and expanded the hours that they were open and providing relief for Arizonans. And these centers included 16 of these containers, like you see behind me, deployed across the state. We work to improve collaboration, communication, and coordination, increasing data sharing among state agencies, expanding community outreach and publicly accessible information, and enhanced the ADHS website with heat dashboards, reports, and resources. We've also been working with our utility companies to enhance programs that provide bill assistance and prevent service disconnections for those who are most in need. And today, I am pleased to share that Arizona's resource hotline 211 will be funded through this year's extreme heat season and into 2026, thanks to funding and support from APS and other utility partners. This means that Arizonans will continue to have access to this critical resource, which obviously provides heat relief information, but a lot of other resources for Arizonans. When it comes to extreme heat, there's no such thing as being too prepared. So whether you're new to Arizona, whether you're a visitor, or if you lived here your whole life, no one is immune to the dangers of extreme heat. And so we want to encourage Arizonans to take some steps to keep themselves safe. First and foremost, stay cool. Limit your oven and stove use during the hot times if possible. Keep your blinds and windows shut. Dress appropriately for the weather. And if you need resources like cooling centers, find one that's available to you. It's important to stay hydrated and drink water even if you don't feel thirsty, and opt for drinks with electrolytes instead of things like coffee or alcohol, which can be dehydrating, and stay informed. Sign up to receive excessive heat warnings, know the signs and symptoms of heat-related illness in order to avoid more extreme illness, and monitor weather forecasts. Wear sunscreen, sunglasses, hat when you're outdoors. During these hotter months, it is critical that we all work together to help keep each other safe, and we're doing our part to protect Arizonans from extreme heat, and so grateful to our community partners who are helping in these efforts. And with that, I will turn it over to the Office of Resiliency Director, Marin Mahoney, to talk more about the state's heat relief preparedness.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you for your leadership on heat preparedness in Arizona. I'm Marin Mahoney, the Director of the Governor's Office of Resiliency. In 2023, Governor Hobbs directed my office to create the first statewide extreme heat preparedness plan. And that summer was the hottest summer on record until last year, when we experienced an even longer and hotter summer. We are all impacted by extreme heat, and our heat preparedness plan unites state resources to prevent heat-related deaths and injuries and impacts to Arizonans. I'm proud to share that this week, as Governor Hobbs mentioned, the Arizona Heat Preparedness Plan won an Innovation Award from the American Planning Association. It's a testament to the governor's leadership and foresight to coordinate across state agencies and partner with local jurisdictions to tackle preventable deaths and illnesses. Part of the plan's focus is to make sure that Arizonans can pay their energy bills and can get them through their extreme heat season. LIHEAP, for instance, has been a critical lifeline for Arizona households who need assistance paying their electricity bills. Yet, due to our funding allocation, only approximately 8% of eligible Arizonans are able to receive that support, and that's from 2024. I'm working with Senator Kelly's office to update the LIHEAP program to ensure that Arizona and other warm weather states receive their fair share of this funding. I look forward to supporting Senator Kelly and his office's efforts to fix this long-standing problem. Additionally, my office is in regular communication with the state utilities to ensure that Arizonans are protected and that our electric grid is prepared for our extreme weather and the load growth. The utilities offer resources to those who need them, as well as the state, and thank you to APS and the utilities for offering funding for 211 to connect Arizonans with assistance, including utility assistance, through the end of 2025. Through our my Efficiency Arizona program, administered through the Office of Resiliency, we are helping Arizonans not only save money on their electricity bills, but also feel more comfortable in their homes. And this month, our Home Energy Rebates program, Efficiency Arizona, will open for new applications for air conditioning replacement and new appliances, including dryers, insulation and ventilation, ovens, stoves, and water heaters. We're also working with retailers across the state to make these rebates more readily available to eligible households. This program is already helping Arizonans save money and stay cool in advance of 2025 heat season, including Garth Oldham in Buckeye. Earlier this year, he got a new heat pump installed as a result of almost $10,000 in rebates from our Efficiency Arizona program. The heat pump replaced Garth's 18-year-old air conditioning system, and he raved about the cost savings and the ease of installing this heat pump. So he is one of more than 20,000 households in Arizona that will be served by these rebates. Additionally, the Governor's Office of Resiliency created the Arizona Clean Energy Hub for all Arizonans to see what financial incentives are available to them for energy efficiency and other clean energy resources to upgrade to their homes. That is a tool you can find on our website, resilient.az.gov. This is a second version of this tool, is now available for homeowners, renters, businesses, nonprofits, and more to see how they can save money. These are just a few of the ways that the Hobbs administration is ensuring that even in times of extreme heat, Arizonans are healthy and safe for many years to come. And thank you. And now I'd like to invite the nation's first state-level chief heat officer, Dr. Eugene Lavar, to share how the Department of Health Services has been implementing the heat plan this year.
Hi everyone. I'm happy to be here today to kick off Heat Awareness Week. I'm Dr. Eugene Lavar, the state's first chief heat officer. Being the first state to create a heat plan of this magnitude has been a privilege, and we have not taken lightly. 1 year later, I'm optimistic about where we stand in our commitment to making Arizona and its communities more prepared for extreme heat by providing new resources and awareness with a unified response. Across the state, private and nonprofit sectors have proven that we are strong when we work together. I am pleased to say we have successfully made progress on each of our heat recommendations for 2024, which we created to build a sustainable and resilient state. This collaboration is crucial and the key to our future success as we continue to provide Arizona with new tools to fight the heat. This heat season, we know that Arizonans will need resources and information to keep themselves and their families safe. To make sure every individual can find what they need quickly, we created a new website, heat.az.gov. Whether you need an extension on your electricity payment, a cool place to go, or help repairing your AC, the site will connect you with state agencies and nonprofits that will help you stay cool and safe during another seasonal of extreme heat. Heat.az.gov compiles dozens of resources for Arizonans in every corner of the state. We hope you share this resource with your neighbors and colleagues. In the event there is an emergency someone is facing because of the heat, our goal is that they will have an opportunity and support quickly. Speaking of support, I also want to mention the cooling centers that are opening and are free to access to all. In 2024, we added 85 new cooling centers totaling more than 400 cool locations across the state. Our cooling center map is also available on heat.az.gov, and the map will be updated throughout heat season. Overall, our heat data guides these initiatives so we can ensure we develop relief where it is needed most. The heat impacts our health, and we have noticed some promising improvements due to our push to keep communities informed about heat-related illness. The reported number of heat-related illnesses increased to about 5,700. While an increase in heat-related illnesses may sound negative on the surface, it's a sign that individuals are seeking early help, and we are likely preventing heat-related deaths. The preliminary data also shows that 2024 is on track for the first summer in 6 years that Arizona has not experienced an exponential increase in the number of heat deaths. We hope that this positive achievement will lead to long-term improvements over time. There is also a lot to learn from those that were most impacted by these 976 deaths. It's a reminder that even as we see improvements, we must continue to support our communities. This summer, we will continue to fulfill our promise to innovate and consistently update our approach to heat. As the summer gets longer, this is even more important. You can expect more task forces to address population-specific needs, community listening sessions, and bilingual content to ensure all Arizonans are involved and accessing the information that they need. We live in an amazing corner of the world, but not without challenges. The heat continues, and so does our community-wide effort to become healthier, safer, and more heat resilient. I leave you with this reminder. Heat.az.gov was created with everyone in mind and provides information about cooling centers like this one opening on Monday, May 5th. Now I'll turn it over to Director Testini from the Industrial Commission of Arizona.
Thank you, Dr. Lavar. My name is Guy Testini. I'm the Director of the Industrial Commission of Arizona. The Industrial Commission of Arizona is tasked with the protection of life, health, safety, and welfare of Arizona's workforce. The Arizona Division of Occupational Safety and Health, or ADOSH, ensures compliance with established safety standards. In July of 2023, at the direction of Governor Hobbs, ADOSH launched a state emphasis program to combat heat illness and injury in the workplace. The program helps employers and workers mitigate heat risks, proactively identify heat hazards, and collect data and stakeholder input to inform future potential heat standards. Through the program, ADOSH inspects work sites across different industries, including those with radiant heat, sources where employees are exposed to heat-related hazards and have not been provided with adequate protection, including water, rest, shade, training, and acclimatization. Through employer outreach, compliance, and compliance assistance, ADOSH aims to reduce the health hazards associated with heat exposures. In the past few years, the Industrial Commission of Arizona has restructured and expanded ADOSH to streamline processes, which has led to increased inspections and consultations. In fact, as a result of these efforts, ADOSH has more than doubled the number of inspections conducted under the State Emphasis Program, and we expect to continue to increase that number. In total, 203 compliance inspections have addressed heat safety. If you are an employer, we're here to help you improve workplace safety. We encourage employers to utilize the free ADOSH consultation services. I want to emphasize that our consultation team works independently from our compliance team. Just this week, the Industrial Commission of Arizona held its annual Recognition Day, where we celebrated employers with proven track records of providing safer work environments for their employees. If you are a worker, you should familiarize yourself with the signs and symptoms of heat stress, monitor yourself, and look out for your coworkers. On the Industrial Commission's website, you can find information about heat stress awareness, including a downloadable heat stress handout card detailing the signs and symptoms of heat stress and first aid instructions. Now I'll turn it over to Reverend Katie Sexton from the Arizona Faith Network.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Katie Sexton, Executive Director of Arizona Faith Network. I want to thank Governor Hobbs and the Arizona Department of Health Services and the rest of the administration for your leadership and commitment to protecting our communities from extreme heat. Each summer, Arizona faces a dangerous reality: extreme heat that lasts longer and hits harder every year. For many of us, cooling off is as easy as stepping inside. But for most of our vulnerable neighbors, those experiencing homelessness, older adults, or people who are living paycheck to paycheck, heat can be a life-threatening emergency. That's why Arizona Faith Network, with our partners here today, runs staffed cooling centers and heat respite centers across the valley. In 2024, thanks to our incredible partnerships, we opened and ran over 14 sites across Maricopa County. These spaces welcomed over 48,000 visits. That's 48,000 moments where someone was offered water, safety, rest, and most importantly, hope. But numbers only tell a part of the story. Behind every number is a person. Last year, one woman came in to get water and a staff member noticed she was sweating heavily and struggling to breathe. Classic signs of heat exhaustion. We convinced her that she needed to come inside and cool down. And later she said, "I didn't realize I was in so much danger. Your staff may have saved my life." A young pregnant couple expecting their first child, who were both experiencing homelessness, used one of our centers daily. With nowhere else to go, they came in to cool off, rest, and sleep. And just days before the center ended up closing, we were able to work with our partners and connect them to stable housing. Another man, a veteran in his 50s who was also experiencing homelessness and suffering from the heat, was identified as a veteran through our intake process, and through working with our case management partners and resources, we were able to offer him housing and find solutions. These are the power of these sites are not just relief from the heat, but an opportunity for us to engage with those in need, to offer care, dignity, and a lifeline for those who are struggling to find stable housing and support. The need in Arizona is growing, and so must our response. That's why we are grateful for continued support from Governor Hobbs and the state of Arizona. Together, we are confident that we can ensure that no one is left to face heat alone and without resources. Thank you.
All right. We have time for some questions. I see some new faces here. If we could try to say name and outlet, that would be appreciated. Howie. Outlet.
Actually, I was looking for our friend from the Industrial Commission here. Several cities like Tempe are proposing their own specific standards. So many minutes, so far away from water. What has the state done? I mean, are we leaving it to the cities to protect their workers? What has the state done in terms of very specific things? How long you can work outside, when you need breaks, all the rest of it?
Okay, so what we've developed and what we're continuing to develop is kind of a best practices for employers. Understanding that standards set the baseline, right? The minimum that needs to be done. We're looking to provide employers with the information to have the best practices so they can go above and beyond the minimum standards and provide safer workplaces.
Okay, what are the minimum standards? I mean, it's fine to say best practices. We have best practices in journalism. What are the minimum standards that we're all outside, don't have to be digging a ditch? What are the minimum standards? How much water needs to be provided? How much space needs to be provided? What sort of shelters? Are there minimum standards that will get a company into trouble?
So there's not a defined standard, and so the way that it works in ADOSH, same way as it works through OSHA, if there's not a defined standard, is the general duty clause. And so the general duty clause requires that employers provide a safe work environment free from any hazards. Heat is a recognized hazard and has been for a long time. In order for us to develop a statewide standard, there's a process. And the first part of that process is collecting data. And that's what we've been doing over the last 2 years.
So when are we going to have 20 outside, you shouldn't be outside for more than 15 minutes. I mean, it seems like, and I've been covering this state now for years, and it seems like we tend to give employers sort of a pass of, well, it's reasonable or something else. Cities say we need standards. When is the state going to come up and meet that?
When we have the data that's required.
All right, we'll move on for now. Other heat-related questions? Adam?
Yeah, I just had it for Dr. Lavar. You mentioned that it was like a 974. Was that the total number of heat-related deaths in Arizona in 2024?
976 preliminary heat-related deaths for the state at this point in time.
Okay.
Of course.
Graham?
Question for Dr. Lavar as well.
Yes, sir.
You said this was good news that we didn't see an exponential growth in 2024?
I think we have to look at how the numbers have been progressing in our state, especially from 2018 to date. If you look at those numbers, they have been growing exponentially year to year. So with coordinated efforts that we had this last year in 2024, that's the first time we saw a plateau or a decrease in heat-related deaths for our state, going from 990 heat-related deaths to this preliminary estimation of 976. That is a positive move that we want to see within our state. Is it where we want to be? Of course not. We would love to see heat-related deaths at 0. And one of the things that we did mention last year when we first started working underneath the Extreme Heat Preparedness Plan is that we have short-term and long-term recommendations, and that this isn't going to be something that's going to be solved in 3, 6, or 12 months. This is going to take long-term planning to start having impacts. And when you finally see those numbers plateauing or decreasing, some work is going in the right direction. But is there more that can get done? There always is more than can get done. There's more collaboration that can happen. There's more efforts that can happen. So now each year, from year to year, we need to look at what we did the previous year and how we can modify that. Some of the things that we're doing this year that are different from last year are community listening sessions, doing outreach, doing coordination and continuing coordination across state agencies, and also trying to work with federal partners so they understand what our state is dealing with and the needs that we have going on from summer to summer. So the work continues, but it is something to see and note of all of the hard work that's happening across the state.
How many communities, counties contributed data? And does that include Maricopa County?
It does include Maricopa County, and you may have known from their report that was released, I believe they went from 645 heat-related deaths in 2023 to 602 in 2024. So even within our most populous county that is has the most number of heat-related deaths for our state, you also saw that trend of a decrease with heat-related deaths. But then again, is the work done? It is not. There was a lot more work to do, but at least it's a movement in a different direction that we've seen from the past 6 years.
Also for Dr. Lavar, a huge percentage of these deaths are also involve methamphetamine use or substance use. Does the state have any targeted efforts around heat and substance use?
We do, and I'm glad that you brought that up. Of what we've seen are some similar demographics from 2023 and 2024 with approximately 50% of heat-related deaths related to substance use disorder. And that is something that's really concerning for our state and something that we really take to heart when we look at our plans moving forward. So some of the things that we're doing as next steps is coordinating with our counties and also our community-based organizations and others that are leading those cooling efforts on the ground to make sure that they can have naloxone available within these sites and be able to do any type of connection and education and spread awareness when it comes to substance use disorder going forward. And that's something that we are really diving into this year and making available, partnering with our Division of Prevention at Arizona Department of Health Services. It's a high priority.
Do we have other heat-related questions today, or are we ready to move on?
I'll throw out one more for the governor. Governor, you've seen some publicity about the Corporation Commission reaction to people who died in their homes. Mm-hmm. Is the Arizona Corporation Commission doing all it can within its constitutional authority to keep people from dying in their homes because they're behind in their bills?
I'm actually going to kick this to Marin because she helped work on the utility shutoff issue with the CorpCom. Yeah,
absolutely. Hi, Howie. The Corporation Commission has a moratorium for the regulated utilities on shutting off, terminating service to customers who are behind on their bills by $300 or more, and that is between June 1st and October 15th. SRP, after a lengthy national study of best practices across the country last year, and due to Governor Hobbs' leadership on heat preparedness, found that they instituted a moratorium for July and August. So similar, but it's lengthier at the Corporation Commission. To your point, are they doing all they can? I think it's important that they continue, that they make sure that costs are brought down and that customers who are low income and seniors, people on medical rates, are that they're making sure that the costs are kept low for those customers.
You were a staffer on the CorpCom.
Yes.
Do corporation commissioners have a responsibility to enforce those heat rules? Nick Meyer says, you know, it's up to you guys. It's up to you family members of this poor woman who died.
So I'm not going to get into what particular commissioners have spoken to. I deleted Twitter, honestly, but I think that the commission has a duty to make sure that the utilities are, ensuring that the disconnections do not occur during the time that the rules are in place. Yes.
Follow up on TJ from KC Times. There's been some criticism, I think, about the date-based shutoff system related to this case. Now that this whole situation and that tweet thread brought this back to people's attention, but temperatures were about 102 when they switched off power, and this woman died in the later days. Do you think we, and this can be for either, do you think we should reconsider that as law?
Do you want me to
Go ahead, and then I can.
Okay, great. I think policymaking is very difficult. We live in a state where heat temperatures are, especially the part of the state where temperatures are high a significant amount of the year. If we instituted a temperature-based standard, that could well bleed into over half of the year, and there are issues. There are trade-offs with any policy, and one of the issues is arrearage. Arrearage is growing over time for the more vulnerable, low-income customers, and so I think you have to strike the right balance. And the moratorium, as it stands currently, is probably the right balance in terms of making sure that costs stay down, and that they are able to work with the utilities on payment plans that are reasonable, rather than having a situation where you might go over and then get well in over their heads in terms of arrearages. So I think that's where we stand. I think it's definitely one of the one of the best policies, in my opinion, in the country for protecting Arizonans, or protecting people in the country against extreme weather.
Governor, do you want to say a few things, and then we'll have time for a few off topics?
Yeah, I think all of these questions around whose responsibility just really highlight, for me, as governor, it is all of our responsibility to keep Arizonans safe. It's why you see so much cross-agency coordination and not acting on this in silos, and also involving our nonprofit partners in helping provide services. But regardless of whose responsibility it is, or what the Corporation Commission does or doesn't do, or what they feel is their responsibility, we have worked really hard to develop strong partnerships with the utilities because they play a critical role in this. And they're not just concerned about their customers because the Corporation Commission makes them be concerned about their customers. They're concerned about their customers because it's the right thing to do. And we're going to continue to work together to ensure that Arizonans are safe in these extreme heat conditions.
All right, Reagan.
Hi, Reagan. So with the resignation of your two nominees, DHS and Access, that leaves, at my count, 4 agencies that don't have a nominee from you at this point, just acting directors. When can we see those agencies get nominees, and do you think this process is going to wrap up by the end of the 2025 session?
You know, if I'm being really honest with you, why would anyone want to go through what these folks are going through? They are being dragged through the mud because of one person's political agenda. that has nothing to do with their careers in public service. Both Director Heredia and Director Kuniko have done amazing work for the state that is totally separate from indicted fake elector Jake Hoffman's political agenda and conspiracy theories. Director Heredia has rooted out $2.5 billion of fraud and worked to protect Arizonans from future victimization and fraud in the sober living home scandal. Director Kuniko is working on licensing reform that is protecting vulnerable Arizonans from abuse and exploitation. And I'm quite frankly done with Jake Hoffman and his agenda. And we're going to move forward in the best way possible in the current environment. We are looking at what that means in terms of interim directors at these agencies. But I'm not going to send anyone else to him to go through this circus that he continues. We're still working on those. The court said
We've been
there's an interim director at tourism. There's an interim director at I can't remember the other. I don't know. You have to ask Jake Hoffman or the Senate President. I don't know the answer. If somebody's upset about it, they can sue me again.
We're gonna move on. I'm gonna give the last right, Stacy, did you have a question?
Yeah,
and
Governor,
that's gonna be it.
we've asked. Oh, sorry, Stacy with the Arizona
Yeah,
Republic.
I know who you are.
Well, for everyone else, maybe I don't know. We've asked you like 8 zillion times at this point about the stakeholder meeting on Diamondbacks yesterday. Can
yes.
you give us an update now that it has happened? What progress was made? Were there any agreements reached?
So I think we're headed in a positive direction. Right after the meeting, Supervisor Galvin went on KTR. He said, we made it to second base. I followed that up with great, we're in scoring position. So, for me, the priority is to have a bill that protects taxpayers, that addresses most of the concerns of all the parties involved, and that continues to create jobs and keeps Diamondbacks in Phoenix. And I think we're on the right path to get there, and we have a follow-up meeting scheduled next week.
Right. Also told KTAR though that you were looking at a different model of financing it. Can you say more about
No,
what that
I don't mean
means?
a different model from what's currently in the bill. We're in a different place than we were more than 20 years ago when the stadium was first approved and the Diamondbacks came to Arizona. I think we're trying to find the right balance.
All right. I'm sorry, everybody. This is the
question, please.
Is it the same topic?
Sort of.
I got different ones.
Is Republicans' constitutional amendment to protect vouchers a non-starter?
Absolutely, 100%.
All right. That's going to be it.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.